Hello world. We are anonymous. It has been some time since Anonymous has updated the subject of Pizzagate, or as it is called. To those of us who haven't given up hope and know the truth, call it Pedogate. This is an interview done by Titus Frost, where he talks with the hacker who accessed Comet Ping Pong's website and had a look around. This is an edited version of that interview, and after the interview the hacker's phone call with DC police.
So it all started last November when the Podesta emails came out. Me and some of my crew, some of the people that I work with, were researching the Podesta emails when they came out, and we found the section on Comet Pizza that had the download section with the zip files, and we ended up getting into those files and found that they contained child pornography. So instead of going out on the internet, which you can't really do, you can't really take that information out on the internet and display the evidence to everybody, as much as you would like to say, hey, this is what they're doing. But, so, our thought was, let's take it to the proper authorities. And so in late November, we took it to the authorities, the DC Metropolitan Police Department. And when I first called, they kind of gave me the runaround and just kind of pushed my call around. Like they would transfer me to another person, make me tell the whole story, and then they would transfer me to another person until basically they tired me out to where I didn't want to tell the story anymore. So then I told them the whole story, and I was pretty upset by the reaction that I got from the DC MPD. They seemed like they really didn't want to hear about it. And like I say, they kind of just gave me the runaround. And that was late November. So I thought the next step might be to contact the FBI, because I didn't, I knew a little bit about the corruption in the FBI, but I figured that was the only other step I had. I mean, I didn't really know who else I could contact. And so I contacted the FBI, and I told them the whole story. And they took notes and whatnot, but didn't really say anything about it. And so I got off the phone with them, and again, this was in late November. And so I waited a little while, and December 4th, we came upon December 4th. And on December 4th was the day that Edgar Madison Welch went down to Comet Pizza, supposedly with an assault rifle. And so when that news broke on the 4th, I knew right away that it was a false flag to cover up for the evidence that I had given to the DC Police Department. I mean, I knew right away, like right when it was happening. So the following day was the 5th, December 5th. And right when I woke up in the morning, I called the DC MPD again. This time I got a whole different reaction from the DC MPD. They put me directly through to a detective named Marcus Stevens. And so when they put me through to Detective Stevens, he was really interested in what I had to say. He listened and asked me if I would send the information over to him through email. And so that's what I did on December 5th. I sent him the information through email. When I talked to him on the phone, I said, Marcus, there's a lot of hearsay out there, and there's a lot of speculation, and there's a lot of evidence that isn't actionable, but this is actionable evidence. And I said, you need to go down there and you need to ask James what this is. And if he doesn't tell you what it is, you need to ask him for what the passwords are. And if he doesn't ask you for the password, if he doesn't give you the password, then he's hiding something from you. I said, this is actionable evidence. And he agreed. He seemed like a really nice guy when I talked to him on the phone. And so I sent him the email, and then that night I thought about, that I didn't send any kind of confirmation on the email to confirm that he received it, that I confirmed that he received the email. I also wanted to let him know that if he needed help getting into that section, if he needed help getting back to that part, if he needed any help at all, that I'd be happy to help. And so I sent that email first before I actually sent the confirmation email. I sent him another email after that asking if he could confirm the receipt of the evidence that I had supplied him. And the next day I got an email back from him saying that he had received the email. So I said, thank you, God bless, I appreciate it. You know, I don't remember exactly what I said. That's what I said to him. So for the next 2 weeks, I was in contact with him, and I was sending him emails, different stuff, because this wasn't just that website. It was connected to 9 different servers all across the globe. This is a huge network. This was a huge network. So back to the Edgar Madison Welch shooting on the 4th. When Edgar Madison Welch went in there, they tried to say that he shot through a lock and into the computer's hard drive. He just so happened this magic bullet happened to go right through the lock into the hard drive.
And that story itself has been confirmed by James Alefantis himself, who wrote in the Washington Post that that's what happened. So they've admitted that's their version of the story. So it's absolutely correct.
Not only that, but Megyn Kelly did a piece on Fox where there's a guy named Trace Gallagher who's like another reporter on there. Trace Gallagher actually did a story on the lock, and they actually showed the lock. And if you go back on YouTube and you can find that piece and you look at it, you can clearly see that the lock is up high. It was up high. So the guy would have to be shooting at a weird angle down and to the right, or it would have had to ricochet off and go right through the hard drive. So anyway, that's kind of suspicious. And like I say, that happened after I had reported in November to the DC MPD when they blew me off. Then that happened, and then I called them back, and they put me right through Detective Marcus Stevens, and we had that series of emails. So then, after that, that was 12/5 that I reported it. So around 12/7, 2016, I came home to my house, and I live in a nice neighborhood. All my neighbors are old. There's no crime here. Nothing happens in my neighborhood. It's in a cul-de-sac. So I came home on the 7th, and all of my mail was opened, but it was still in my mailbox. So that was the first thing that happened to me. Then, a few days later, on 10/16, so 9 days later, or 12/16, I'm sorry, 12/16/16, I got home from work, and I was pretty tired, so I went to bed like around 9:30 at night, and I was awoke. There's somebody at the door. I started walking towards the door, and through that hallway, you can see, like, through the window of my door, you can see down the hallway, so you could see me coming. When the person saw me coming, they took off running, jumped in their car, and took off. At that point, I looked to my right, and one of my work trucks was smashed. The guy had run right into it, like T-boned it. Then he came up to my door, looked in my window, and when he saw me coming, he ran off, jumped in his car, and he took off. And I've already sent Titus all the information, the police report, and everything that was filled out that night. And so once that happened, I kind of thought, wow, that's really odd what just happened, you know. My mail got opened, and that happened. But I was kind of like, nah, you know, you're being paranoid or something's going on. They totaled the truck. It was in a cul-de-sac. It got hit by somebody. The guy came up to my door and ran off. So make of that whatever you want. So then I'm still in contact with Detective Stevens, and, you know, I sent them an email with about the 9 different servers and about where they're located, what exactly they're doing, and I just asked again, like, for a confirmation that he received it, and he emailed me back, but he didn't write anything in the email chain. I almost took that like he got the information, but he was going dark, or he couldn't take the information anymore, or somebody had shut down his investigation. Because after that, I never heard from him again. And I don't think that he's a bad guy. I don't think Marcus Stevens is a bad guy, because when I talked to him, and for the first month or so, he was doing his job, but sometimes the higher ups or whatever will shut down an investigation. I don't know if the FBI came in and told him not to do anything, or if it was Chief Newsham or who it was that they definitely shut him down. So then, we went a little ways, and I kept calling the public information officer down there at the DC MPD, what was going on with the investigation. And I would call maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks and ask them, and they kept saying, yeah, we're investigating it, we're definitely investigating it. I've got those quotes actually a couple of times. We're definitely looking into it. And they just kept like stringing me along like that. So then we came to January 23rd, and January 23rd, 2017. Actually, yeah, the 23rd. Okay, so that day I went to work, and I happened to notice a car in my neighborhood, like a Subaru, a green Subaru, a newer one, like a nice one. And there was 2 guys inside the Subaru when I left. So I left, and I did some work, and I came back home, and I happened to notice that green Subaru again, sitting in my cul-de-sac. I pointed towards my house. I even almost went over there and said something, but I didn't, and I wish I would have. But I just went back inside and, went about my day, went to sleep, and at around 3:40 in the morning, I heard sirens, I heard cops, just right outside my house, like speeding up to my house and stopping. And I came outside with my gun because I didn't know what was going on. And they were pulling some guy in full camouflage with a black ski mask on out of my bushes. And I have bushes that go around my house because I have a pool, so it kind of secludes the pool. So they're like, if you could picture like big green shrubs all lined up all the way around like the perimeter of the house, and they're probably about 8 feet tall. So the guy was high. I leave for work like around 5 in the morning, 5:30, and I usually work till about 7 at night. That's why we were a little bit late tonight, because I was still working. But anyway, so 3:40 in the morning, I wake up, police, guns drawn, and they pull some guy out of my bushes in full camouflage with a black ski mask on. So it really freaks me out at that point. So then the next morning, the police don't really tell me anything like where the guy is from or anything like that. So the next day, our local newspaper runs a story about what happened. And it turns out that the guy didn't live in my state. He lived 2 states over from me. So I dug in and I did a little research on this guy, because I do have some contacts and whatnot. So I did a little research on the guy, and it traced back to an FLDS church that was 2 states away. And the story in the newspaper was that he was there car prowling 2 states away. And so I find it kind of suspicious that someone that's broke that needs to break into cars is 2 states away trying to break into cars. And so anyway, I sent Titus all this information, like to verify it. The story from our local newspaper where the guy got arrested, and there's a picture of the guy sitting there in the full camo with the ski mask pulled down like around his neck. And the cops took a mugshot of him in the back of the police car. So
yeah, I do remember that news story. I was trying to find the image I had saved of it, but yeah, it was in the newspapers. And what I'll do for people is I'll put the link in the description box to that news story.
So anyway, yeah, it was like maybe the third or fourth weird thing that had happened to me. Another thing that happened to me was I run a certain kind of business, and one night in the middle of the night, some of my equipment got destroyed. And like I say, I live in a nice neighborhood. I run the business out of my house because I have a shop at my house that I can park the vehicles, around and do the work for those. But yeah, that was another odd thing that happened to me after I reported all this. And so
just to intervene real quick, the evidence that you found, what did you find in Comet Ping Pong's website that you sent to Marcus Stevens, whom, if people want to call Marcus Stevens and ask him what the evidence, where it went, what exactly did you find?
Okay, so I sent him, I couldn't disseminate the child porn, like send it over the internet to him, like, pictures of it or things like that, because I was kind of nervous about even talking to him in the first place about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So basically, I told him what was there. I offered to show him how to get it into there, to look at it, and to verify what I was talking about. And so I told him what was on the website, and then I told him, this is what's on the site. This is the questions you need to go ask him. And if you need help in any way, shape, or form, I mean, I know that the FBI and the DC MPD have way more advanced people than I could ever dream of being, on their payroll. So if someone could get in there, then obviously they could too. Or if they needed help, I offered it to them. I said, hey, I'll help you if you need help. And I think I sent you that email. I don't remember, but if I didn't, I can send it to you. Exactly what I said. I just told him, what was on there, and that I'd be happy to help him, in any way that I could to expose this. And I just offered my help. And then I also contacted DHS. I contacted the NYPD because the NYPD is the biggest police force in the world. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but they're the biggest police force in the world. So I contacted them also, and they were very interested in what I had to say, but I don't think they could really do anything about it. You know what I mean? So I contacted them. I contacted DHS. I contacted Jeff Sessions before he was approved and actually put in. I contacted his office, and I talked to a staffer for probably like an hour and a half, and he took notes on everything I said. Another key point is that as soon as I reported it, like either the first time or the second time, they took down the page. I think it was right after the first time they took down the page that you could actually enter the login keys on. So they took that page down, and then after the second time, a little while later, they actually redid the whole website, ripped down the whole site, and they did the the false flag with Edgar Madison Wells. So after all this had occurred, and after I called all these people, I was like, well, I don't know who else to contact. I'll try to contact people in the media. So I contacted all the local news stations in DC, and actually built a good relationship with some of the people over at Fox 5, but they just can't run the story. They just can't. I mean, after what happened to Ben Swan, they can't report on it. No one. There's a lot of fake people in the alternative media that will act like they're against this, but they're not when it comes deep down. Even if you tell them, hey, they tried to kill me, they're coming to kill me, they're going to kill me, they don't care. These people do not care.
Yeah.
And you know, it's crazy. You know, you can tell people your story, you can give them all the evidence that you want, they still won't report on it. And I just want to say thanks to you, man, because you're one of the few people that's actually talked about it. You know, the only other people that I've heard talk about it were another guy that's on Twitter. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to like put him at risk or anything like that, but he talked about it, and then the Liberty columnist talked about it, and I really appreciate, you know, what he did when he interviewed you and spoke about it, because, you know, like I say, I contacted all the major news networks, everybody, and I tried to, you know, give them the evidence, show them the evidence.
Yeah, and people are in the chat, they're asking specifically what the evidence was. I mean, I've told them before, but if you want to, I mean, what exactly?
Okay, so there was a few different aspects to the website. It was connected to other servers, so there was a server in Berlin, Germany. There was servers all across the world, and basically it was just, I don't know if it was a site where they were actually sharing child porn that they had committed themselves, or if they were just sharing, or if it was just a place where you could easily get it. But then also there was a few other things on the back end of the website, like there was a shopping cart and different things that, you know, that you could see on the back end of the website also.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as we discussed, what you found was you said it was .movie files, right? That were child porn.
Yeah, there was all kinds of zip files, and there was different things. There was just images. There was movies. There were things that they were selling. I couldn't see what they were selling, but they were selling things. So yeah, but it's like when you look at something like that, it's not like you want to just like stay there and search around, because it's kind of sketchy. It's like, you know, am I going to get in trouble for this or that? You know.
Yeah.
So it's not like you want to just like sit there and look at it. It's like you see it, you turn it off, and then you call the police immediately and you report it. That way, you know, they know that you're not up to something no good. And so it's not like something you can go out there and just like, you know, start posting about, or like say this is what's going on. You know, it's something that you should take to the proper authorities, and they should do their job. But you know, the problem is that the DC police are corrupt, the FBI is corrupt. You know, we have the DOJ is corrupt. There's nowhere that you can take. It doesn't matter. You could have as much evidence as you want. You could have them. You know, you could literally have a movie of them raping kids, and they're not going to do anything about it. Yeah. You know, and that's what I've learned through this whole process, because like I say, I've contacted anybody and everybody that would listen in law enforcement, and they all know about it. You know, all these big names that you see on Twitter and on YouTube, they all know about it, but they won't speak about it because they're scared.
Yeah.
And you know, I've had to take a lot of measures at my house. You know, I had to install a lot of cameras with offsite, you know, surveillance. I have guns, I have dogs, but at the end of the day, none of that stuff is going to save you. You know,
Yeah.
It's just, you know, none of that stuff is going to save you if they want to come get you, if they send the right person. I just happened to get lucky because I don't know who called the cops. I just awoke to the cops with this guy in my yard, and they were taking him down. So,
I mean, who knows if your neighbor hadn't seen the guy, if he would have, like, you know, broke into your house or done something else.
well, I think he was waiting for me to come outside to go to work because, you know, the section of bushes, like where he was hiding, is right where I come outside to go to work in the morning. Like first thing in the morning. And I start early every morning.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was just somebody trying to rob cars, but
yeah,
I have no idea.
doubt it. You know, I mean,
I doubt it too with all the other weird stuff that happened. I mean, somebody smashed my car. Nothing ever happens in my neighborhood. I mean, I've lived here for 10 years, and like I say, it's not the ghetto. It's an upscale neighborhood, and like the nice part of town. So, and on a cul-de-sac. So it's not like there's a whole lot of traffic that comes through, and I've never seen any problems. And just to have, like, you know, 4 or 5 problems right in a row, it was out of character. So yeah, it definitely made me get my guard up and, you know, just try to protect myself, protect my family.
Yep,
but
for sure. And I mean, so the evidence itself, the data itself, is with Marcus Stevens at the DC police. That's who has the evidence, and the FBI has it, and others. And for obvious reasons, you couldn't download that information onto your computer because that makes you guilty of a crime. And anyone who's reported child porn knows that the only thing that you can do with it is bring it straight to the police. You call them and you tell them where it is, and then they have to investigate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all I could do, and then just document the fact that he had, you know, confirm with him that he had received the information that I gave him, and I did that, and I have those emails to prove it. And so, I mean, anybody that might be skeptical, or, you know, or have questions, you know, if you're a member of the media or if you want to report on it, I just encourage you to get a hold of Titus, and Titus can put you in touch with me, and I'd be happy to share anything that I have, you know, from Detective Stevens, or, you know, even better yet, go down to DC. If you live in DC, go down, find Detective Marcus Stevens and talk to him. Get him on camera. Ask him yourself. Ask Peter Newsham yourself. You know, and I know that sometimes good cops, there's nothing they can do about it because they have cops above them that are crooked. And you know, if you look into the past of Peter Newsham, it's not exactly well, let's just say it's a checkered past. He covered up the rape of an 11-year-old by, you know, 3 or 4 different men. He beat his wife and knocked her teeth out. He was found drunk on the street, you know, and someone took his service revolver right out of his holster. So Peter Newsham's not very clean. He was also in charge of ethics with the DC MPD when Seth Rich was murdered under Kathy Lanier, and magically he was promoted to chief. So I don't know if it's him that's covering it up or if it's, you know, the FBI or what. Like I say, I contacted them. I contacted DHS and took it about as far as I could take it. And I just waited. I still call back. You know, I called back a couple of weeks ago and asked them what the status of the case was. And, you know, they just usually tell me that they're still investigating it, but I don't know. Some child porn cases do take that long. So it's like, you know, do you just sit here and wait, or do you push them, or, you know, I don't know. I think
the reason for, like, I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and get you on air and get your story out now, is because the Podesta group's finally under investigation, and I wanted to make sure that people knew how legitimate this story was, and that these people are guilty of hosting child porn on their server, on Comet Ping Pong server, and you're the person who found it. So I just thought it was really important to get that information out there now.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like I say, I've asked a lot of people to go, if they were in DC, I've asked people to go and talk to Peter Newsham. And I think some people even have tried to, but have been denied. But I wouldn't mind also, maybe doing a 3-way call and recording it. I don't know if that's legal to do. I don't know if that's legal to do in DC, but if it is, then we should do that. We should call them up together, and maybe you could record it, and I'll talk to the public information officer over the phone, just so you guys know that that's what's really going on. Because I think sometimes they tell me one story, and maybe they tell other people a different story. Like they tell me, "Oh yeah, we're still investigating it," and they tell other people, "No, we're not investigating it." So it's like, which one is it?
Yeah, well, they're not investigating it. They even put that out in a Brian Richmond did a FOIA request, and he got back from them that they never investigated it. So
right.
It's
right, but I don't think they would disclose it, even if they were. But I believe that, yeah, they would probably say that, or maybe that's the official narrative, or maybe that's the truth and they're just lying to me. That's probably the case. There have been a couple other things that I've done. When Edgar Madison Welch was getting his plea deal, I put in a FOIA request for his plea deal prior to when he got it, and I was denied on that.
Yep.
I also put in a FOIA request for the body cam footage, before you did, and they actually gave me a number, saying that they had received it, but then ever since then they've just ignored anything that I've sent them, like asking about that particular FOIA request. They just decided not to respond to it. I did try to contact Judicial Watch to see if maybe they could help with the FOIA request for the court aspect of it, because basically they deny all FOIA requests, and you have to take them to court to get any kind of information. So yeah, I've tried that route too. The only other thing I could think of would be maybe talking to a lawyer and seeing if maybe if the DC MPD had opened themselves up to a civil lawsuit where I could depose Marcus Stevens and depose Chief Newsham about these two aspects. But I don't know. I'm still kind of looking over my options as far as that goes. Because yeah, I've done everything I could to try to bring this to light, and that's all I can do. I never wanted to get caught up in nothing like this. I wish I would have never got caught up in it, but I just want to do the right thing. And at some point, you have to just say enough is enough. Even if they try to kill me, or they try to come back to my house in the middle of the night, I really don't care at this point. So
if they
come on down if you want to.
If they do something to you too, like, I know who you are, like, you've identified yourself.
Hundreds of people know who I am. All the people in the news media know who I am. All the reporters at Fox 5, all the reporters at NBC in Washington, they all know me. A lot of people know who I am. I've talked to a ton of people in the media. I've told them the whole story. I've given them all the evidence, and like I say, they just don't want to report on it. But they do all know who I am, and I have told all of them that I'm not suicidal. I'm in perfect shape for my age. I work out 5 to 6 days a week. Not that means anything or anything at all, but I know I'm in good shape. I'm not gonna drop dead or anything like that. So if something like that does happen, yeah, investigate it. But like I say, at some point you just say enough is enough, and if they want to keep trying, or if they want to send somebody back down here, then I'm going to be ready for them. I'm going to be waiting for them. So go for it.
Yeah.
And I guess now, I mean, if anybody has any questions, you know, maybe take those, and then I could try to answer them the best way I could.
Yeah, sure. So I guess at this point, if people in the chat want to ask questions, if you guys have any questions, now would be the time. So Epic Z says Comet Ping Pong is powered by Squarespace. Do you know anything about that?
I don't want to go exactly into all the technicals of the website, but
yeah, I'm not going to ask you to tell them how you got in there. That would be obviously not a good idea to broadcast live over the internet. So, anyways, the biggest question I saw in here was just, you know, what was the you know, the stuff on there, basically, you know, and obviously we've told people where the evidence is. The evidence is with the police, which is the only people who can have the evidence, because if either one of us had the evidence on our computers, we could go to jail for having child porn on our computers. You guys do understand that in the chat, right? So if you guys want to verify the information, you can go directly to Detective Marcus Stevens at the DCMPD, and you can ask him to verify this information. Call the DCMPD and ask them, okay? When I heard this phone call, my only response to it is like, what the fuck are these people doing down there? Like, seriously. So, you'll hear it yourself. And just remember, like, as we've been reporting, Marcus Stevens has had the evidence. I've shown you guys that he received this evidence like what, a year ago now, and this is the games they're still playing with us. So just listen to this. This might be the definition of the runaround. Okay, so this is the email after this phone call. So this guy has the information. Okay, you can see, thank you for providing the information. And what's the topic? Screenshot Comet's login and encrypted files. Okay, and what does this guy do there? Crimes Against Children Branch, Investigative Service Bureau. Okay, so with that being said, open it up.
hello.
Hey, sir. How you doing? This is Lieutenant Godin calling you back.
Oh, thank you for calling me back, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I just wonder, I had some questions about what your guys' policies were as far as like when someone turns in evidence of child pornography to you guys.
So, just to explain to you what my unit, what my position and my unit does. We investigate those offenses.
Yes, sir.
And we also investigate any, child sexual abuse allegations.
Okay.
So any policy-related questions, you have to go through the public information officer. I can't answer those questions.
Oh, okay. And so, so you don't know what the policy is for like when someone turns in evidence of child pornography? You don't know what you guys do, or?
No, I'm just saying that any questions related to that, you have to go through a public information officer. I'm not going to provide that information over the phone.
Okay. And so, I guess my frustration is, over a year ago, I turned in evidence of child pornography to Detective Marcus Stevens, and I was in contact with him for a good month, and he was investigating it, and then all of a sudden, he wouldn't email me back. They wouldn't let me talk to him anytime I called down there. And so I really don't understand why nothing has been done, because it was clear, actionable evidence, and everything was given to him back. Actually, the first time I called was in late November, and then when I finally got to talk to Marcus was December 5th, 2016. And so when I talked to Marcus on the phone, I asked him, you need to go down there and ask James why he has a heavily encrypted download and upload section on a pizza place's website. That's totally out of the ordinary. There's no reason to have a heavily encrypted, password protected section on your website with giant zip files on it, where you require the people to enter a key to access this info. And so I told Marcus, this is what it is. I emailed him all the evidence. He had me email it to him. And then, I told Marcus, hey, you need to go down there, ask him what this is, and why he removed it from his website after people started investigating Comet Pizza on the internet. So after this broke, like 3 days later, he pulled that part of his website down. So I told Marcus, go ask him why he pulled that down. Why does it have a heavily encrypted section? Why do you need keys to access these giant zip files full of information? And so Marcus agreed. He was like, yeah, send me the information, send me anything you got. And so I sent all that to him on December 6th, and then I sent Marcus another email saying, hey, can you just confirm that you received this information? And so Marcus sent me an email back saying, yeah, he had received all the information. And so I just said, God bless, thank you very much for your service. Just thanked him for, looking into it. So then I waited about a month, and I found some other information, about 150 websites with the same IP address that were pinging to all these different servers and whatnot. So I sent that also to him. And, he responded again, but this time he didn't say anything in the email message when he responded to me. Kind of like, I got the info, but it's not really something that we can, either I took it as he was shutting down the conversation, or he just couldn't talk to me about it. So I took that as, okay, there must be an ongoing investigation. So I just waited. I waited for like a year, and nothing's happened. So I kept calling the DC police asking for updates from the public information officer, and they kept telling me they were investigating it. So some other people that I work with filled out a FOIA request to see if it was under investigation. The DC police came back to them and said, no, it's never been investigated. This was in July. So then yesterday, some people emailed Chanel and asked her if they were investigating it. She said, yeah, Jeremiah Johnson's the one assigned to the case. She emailed that back first. So then some other people emailed just to confirm, and she said, no, it's already been investigated. We started the investigation in November 2016. They've been fully investigated, and they are cleared. So when I saw that email, I was like, no, there's no way that they're cleared. They had child pornography on their website. So, and Marcus Stevens has the evidence. So I don't know who's lying here, but first the FOIA request said, no, they never investigated it, which we have a copy of. We also have a copy of Chanel saying, yeah, they did investigate it from November 2016 until they cleared him. So I don't see how they could possibly be cleared when they had child pornography clearly on their website. There's clear evidence of it. Marcus was made aware. He confirmed that he received the information. And then we get two different stories, that they're not investigating it or they are. So I just want to know which one is it. And if they're not investigating it, then that means it's okay to post the evidence online, right?
Well, I'm not going to tell you to do that. If you have any evidence related to...
It's already been given to Marcus Stevens in December 5th, December 5th, 2016. I have all the emails to confirm that, with him confirming that he received the emails.
Okay.
So the evidence is all there. Now, if he chose
that you provided.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And I even told Marcus in the emails, hey, if you need help looking at it or you need help getting in there, I know some people that could help you get in there or tell you how to get in there. But I told him, on the phone, I said, you guys have the FBI computer forensics lab right there at the DC police. So they are 1,000 times smarter than anyone I know or anybody that I work with as far as research goes. And so they would have easily been able to go in there and look at it. Marcus could have easily gone down to Comet Pizza and asked James, what are the login sections at Buck's Camping and Fishing? What are the login sections at Comet Pizza? Now, if he chose to not do that, I don't know. So if he didn't, then he didn't investigate it properly. Okay. But from what Chanel says, they did investigate it. From what the FOIA request says, they never investigated it. So I'm just kind of like, this isn't something that I ever wanted to get involved with. This isn't something that I ever wanted to speak out about or even call the police about. You know, this isn't something I want to deal with. This is something I've been dealing with for a year, trying to get you guys to
Here's what we can do. If you have any evidence related to child pornography, you can send it to me. Well, you can't send it to me. You can let me know how I can obtain that evidence because you can't send it to me.
Exactly. And that's what I explained to Marcus when I called back in December. I said, hey, you know, Marcus, this is something that's illegal to download. You can't download it. I'm showing you how to get to it. I'm telling you where it is.
So if you have evidence such as that, you can send me that information and we will investigate it.
Okay, but
we will look into it. But all these other questions that you have, I'm not going to answer those questions. Those questions have to go through the public information officer.
Okay, but couldn't you just go talk to Marcus and say, hey, Marcus, I want to see these emails that this guy sent you? Because Marcus...
Right, if we choose, I mean, that's possible. We may do that. But
so why would I need to resend the information to you? Because Marcus already has it. You know what I mean?
If you have information that is evidence of child pornography, please send that to me.
That's what I did. That's what I did, sir.
On the police side, let me take care of that. I'll talk to, if I feel that it's right to talk to Marcus and obtain additional information from him, then I'll obtain the additional information. But if you have anything you need to send me, please send it to me.
Okay, what is your email address, sir?
First name, Daniel. Dot Godin, Godin.
And Daniel is spelled Daniel?
Correct.
Daniel.Godin
DC.gov.
At DC.gov. Okay, so here's the problem, officer. When I told Marcus this, they had already removed, when the story broke, they removed that page from the website, which was the first red flag. It's like, okay, so if people are starting to investigate you, why are you pulling that off your website? Why wouldn't you leave it on there? Okay, so that's the first thing I told Marcus. They pulled that down. Then after I reported it to Marcus, maybe like a month later, they revamped the whole website. They took down the whole website. They put up a new website because they knew the heat was coming on.
Okay.
So I know you guys have people that are brilliant in computer forensics. I believe the files are still on the server. So, but I don't understand why Marcus wouldn't look into it, or he didn't look into it, or nothing's been done, because it was clear-cut evidence. You know what I mean? It was cut and dry. And by him not looking into it at that particular time, it allowed them to change the website completely.
Okay, as I previously stated, I'm not going to give any statement in reference to that.
No, I don't expect you to, sir. I'm just telling you what occurred, you know, and how frustrating it's been for me, because I've known the whole time that this has happened, and I've had to listen to people say, oh, you know, Pizzagate this and Pizzagate that. No, it's not about Pizzagate. It's about the kids. It's about kids getting put on movies, you know? And so,
like I said, if you have evidence of that, please let me know how I can obtain that.
Okay, I'll send you an email as soon as I can with all that info.
Okay, I appreciate you providing this information to me.
I will forward the emails, the email chain between me and Marcus, so you can look at that and you can ask him why. Because, you know, I don't understand.
All right, I appreciate you sending me the information, and if you have any questions, please call me back, okay?
Okay, sir. So how would I follow up on that? Because I've been told, you know, a lot of times, hey, send me the information, or we're looking at the information, or we're investigating.
Well, I can tell you that I received it. I'll respond back to you saying I received it, but I'm not going to provide. We don't provide people with case updates or what we've done on a case. We wouldn't do that.
Well, I understand that, and you know, that's what I was thinking. Maybe that was part of maybe the you know, kind of getting two answers thing with the FOIA request and them saying that they did actually investigate it. Maybe, you know, there's some kind of miscommunication, or maybe they don't want to say, they don't want to come out and say, oh yeah, we are investigating this, if they actually are, or, you know, they don't want to comment to the public. But that's also something else that needs to be looked into, is why in July they said that the FOIA request, that they never investigated it. And then now they're saying, oh yeah, we did investigate it from November 2016, and they've been cleared. So I'll send you a copy of the FOIA request, and I'll send you a copy of what Chanel said yesterday about it.
I have it.
Oh, you do have it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you have the FOIA request already as well?
I have that as well.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.